Okay, so ready for a deep dive into a classic.
Always up for a classic. What are we thinking?
We're tackling the Analects of Confucius.
Oh, cool. I'm in. But we've done Confucius before. What's different this time?
This time we've got a twist. We're looking at the Analects kind of sideways through a Chinese language teacher's guide and textbook.
Interesting. Like lesson plans and stuff. Sounds like something I would have used back in the day.
Exactly.
Ah,
Talking about lesson plans, cultural context notes, the whole shebang. Plus, you know those Confucius quotes you see everywhere.
the ones on those inspirational posters.
Those are the ones. We might just bump into a few of those along the way.
Love it. Those little nuggets of wisdom always pack a punch. But I've got to ask, 2,500 years old, how are these Analects still relevant?
That's the thing, they really are. And this teacher's guide, it highlights those practical takeaways you can actually use.
I'm all about practical.
So if you've ever hit a wall learning something new,
Oh, tell me about it.
or wondered how these ancient ideas apply to us now, you're in the right place.
I'm ready to have my perspective shifted. What's first?
Now, I've always been a little intimidated by filial piety, like bowing to your parents a zillion times.
Yeah, sounds a bit intense, right?
Right. But this teacher's guide, they tackle it in a cool way. They ask, what sets us apart from animals if we just provide food and shelter?
Whoa. Okay, that's deep.
Right. So it's about more than just the doing, it's the how. Respect is the core.
Got it. It's about respect for your elders, but I'm sensing it's bigger than that.
You're right on. And before we get too far, it's worth pointing out that Confucianism, at its heart, it's all about harmonious relationships. Family, community, even within ourselves.
So this respect thing, it ripples out.
Exactly. From family to society and everything in between. Which, let's be real, how do we stack up in our fast-paced world? Do we even value genuine respect anymore?
It makes you think, are we all about efficiency over actually respecting each other?
Right. It's a good gut check. And you know what else? The guide shares this story about Confucius praising his student
Oh, I love a good story.
who respectfully disagreed with his father.
Interesting. I thought it was all about obedience back then.
It shows that respect isn't about blindly following. It's about honest and healthy communication, even with your parents.
So respect is a two-way street. I like it.
Okay, ready for another big theme for the Analects?
Hit me.
Perseverance.
Yeah.
And in the teacher's guide, they use this awesome visual of piling up earth, basket by basket, to form a mountain.
Okay, I can picture it.
Right. It's like each little effort adds up over time.
And that's the essence of perseverance right there. You don't give up. Just keep adding those baskets.
And the guide mentions this danger, right? Stopping one basket short.
Oof. Yeah, I feel that.
You're almost there, but you quit.
Happens to the best of us. It's like the guide says setbacks are going to happen. It's not a sign to give up, but like a chance to learn and grow. You know, this reminds me of the whole growth mindset thing.
Ooh, explain that.
It's where you basically see challenges as opportunities rather than roadblocks.
I love that. Because we've all been there, right?
Yeah.
That project that seems impossible, or that skill you think you'll never get down, and then suddenly, breakthrough. Okay, but speaking of switching things up, the teacher's guide brings up this cool tool from the Analects, Zhengzi's 3 daily reflections.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. It's like a Confucian life hack.
Right. So Zhengzi was this top student of Confucius,
One of the best.
and he made it a habit every single day to reflect on 3 things
Loyalty, trustworthiness.
and learning. But it's not just like a mental checklist.
No, it's deeper than that. He'd think about these things and then ask himself, how well am I actually embodying these virtues?
Love it. Okay, but loyalty feels kind of tricky today. You know, like, are we talking blind loyalty to your company? A cause. What does that even mean?
Good point. And it shows how we can take these ancient ideas and make them relevant. So the teacher's guide, it actually talks about loyalty in a much broader sense. Like, it's about aligning your actions with your values, your commitments, whether it's family, your team at work, even your own personal growth.
So loyalty with integrity.
Exactly, walking the walk. And you know what? That connects perfectly with the next reflection, trustworthiness. The guide really emphasizes the importance of trust.
It's huge.
And it's not just about honesty, it's about showing up consistently and reliably, and that impacts your relationships, your collaborations, even how you see yourself.
Yeah, it's like that saying, trust takes years to build, seconds to break, and forever to repair.
Exactly. It makes you really think about how you show up.
It does. Okay, so we've got loyalty, we've got trustworthiness. What about learning? I feel like that one's pretty straightforward.
It's definitely universal, and the Analects, full of passages about being a lifelong learner. But what's interesting here is how the teacher's guide emphasizes going beyond just memorizing stuff.
Because that's not real learning, right?
Exactly. It's about actively looking for knowledge and then, more importantly, figuring out how to use it in new situations with new challenges.
Turning information into action. So cool.
Right. Like, how can you connect what you learn with how you live?
Okay, that's a good one.
And I think that's a great question for your listeners to consider, too. What would your 3 daily reflections be? If you had to pick 3 principles to hold yourself accountable for, what would they be?
That's a great question to end on. Really makes you think. You know, one thing that really struck me from this teacher's guide was how much Confucius emphasized adaptable teaching.
Yeah, it's so relevant, isn't it?
Like especially today when everything's changing so fast.
Totally. The guide, it actually talks about how Confucius would change up his teaching methods depending on the student.
Really? So it wasn't a one-size-fits-all kind of thing?
Nope. He knew everyone learns in their own way. And honestly, I think that's a super powerful takeaway for all of us, even today.
For sure. So how do we actually do that? How do we become more adaptable learners? I mean, there's so much information out there these days.
It can be overwhelming.
Totally. New app, new course, new system. It's like, where do you even begin?
Right. It's easy to get caught up in the latest and greatest thing, but I think real adaptability. It's less about finding the perfect method and more about having the right mindset, one that helps you thrive no matter what's thrown at you.
Okay, so less about the what and more about the how.
Exactly. It's about being open to constantly evolving how you learn, like maybe even getting comfortable with being a little uncomfortable.
I can see that.
It's like Confucius adapting his teaching. We've got to adapt our learning to keep up with the world.
And hey, what about those setbacks? What if we looked at them as chances to learn and change our approach instead of just failures?
Exactly. It's all about becoming a lifelong student. Always curious, always open to new knowledge, new perspectives.
Yes. Never stop learning. I love that.
It's about that drive to learn, not because you have to, but because it's part of who you are.
So good. We started with the Analects, and we ended up with this incredible framework for modern life.
Right. It's amazing how this ancient wisdom is still so relevant.
It really is. So, listeners, next time you're scrolling and you see a Confucius quote, don't just keep scrolling. Take a second. Think about it.
Ask yourself, how can this ancient wisdom actually help me today? Can it help me become a better learner, a better friend, a better leader? Because you never know, it might just hold the key to a more fulfilling life.
So true. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.